Good morning. I want to welcome all of you who have joined us today. We'll start off with CEO at Quest International Users Group, John Vaughn, and at this time I will pass it over to John.
Thank you, Alyssa, and good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're located. Thank you for joining us for Quest Experience Week. It's as Alyssa was talking earlier, this is a 3-day virtual event, with today being the first day of Quest Experience Week is J.D. Edwards Day. And our first session of the Quest Experience Week and J.D. Edwards Day is the J.D. Edwards Roadmap, which will be presented by Bob Monahan and Gary Grieshaber. So thank you all for joining us. And before we jump into the presentation itself, for those of you that may not be familiar with Quest, we have over 300 attendees participating in J.D. Edwards Day of Quest Experience Week. And some of you are more familiar with Quest than others. So we'll just give you a quick overview of who Quest is and how we support our communities. As a user group community for J.D. Edwards, PeopleSoft, and Oracle Cloud users, it's our goal to help you and your companies get the very most from your ERP. And we support your companies by providing content and networking opportunities throughout the year, with Quest Experience Week being just one of those many opportunities. Now, we hope that after participating in Quest Experience Week that you're going to want to get more involved in Quest. After today ends, we'll actually be uploading the presentation and recordings to the content library within the next couple of weeks. We certainly hope that you will take some of these next steps that we've identified for you to get more involved in Quest, and we certainly would love to see you at Collaborate, which is Quest's annual conference in late April next year in Las Vegas. So please be on the lookout for information around not only Collaborate, but also some of the other upcoming events throughout the year. The other thing I'd really like to point out is Quest has recently experienced a significant shift in our membership model, where we have moved from corporate memberships having 10 licenses or 10 people from your company being able to take advantage of the full access membership, and we have actually moved it from 10 licenses to unlimited licenses. So anyone within your company, if you have a corporate membership, anyone in your company will be able to take advantage of your company's membership. So we really want to encourage people to look to take advantage of that if you haven't already done so. I'd also like to take an opportunity to thank our J.D. Edwards Quest Experience Week sponsors, Canon Information and Imaging Solutions, Velocity, DeNovo, and All Out Security. You can see that they have sessions throughout today, so we just encourage you to check out their sessions as you go throughout your day. You can see them listed on this screen. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. Gary Grieshaber is Vice President, Product Strategy, and Bob Monahan is Vice President of Product Management with Oracle J.D. Edwards. And we're very excited to have them with us to present the J.D. Edwards Roadmap, Exploring Applications and Tools in Innovation. So Gary and Bob, we're going to turn it over to you, and we hope you have a great session.
Okay, well, thank you very much, John. Let me share my screen here. And we'll dive right into it. Well, Bob and I, feel privileged, as always, and very excited to kick off Quest Experience Week. What an exciting week to spread the word and get the J.D. Edwards Roadmap message out, and then also follow that up with some other key things that we really strongly believe that you can take advantage of in your business. We do have a lot of futures that we're going to go over here. So this session we'll cover a number of things, but we'll certainly cover futures. So this slide that I'm sure people have seen in the past certainly applies in this session. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today. We're going to start with, kind of the bigger picture. What are the support timelines for our releases? We'll talk about how we're continuously innovating JD Edwards and delivering that to market as quickly as possible, and wrap that up with a little overview of the roadmap. We're going to talk then, dig into the investment strategy and where are we investing? What areas of the JD Edwards product line are we putting our core investments? And then back that up with some details around that. What are the recent innovations we've delivered? And what are some of the things that you can expect to see in the near future? And then we'll transition a little bit to the cloud and this whole topic of the journey to the cloud for JD Edwards customers, where it makes sense, what are some of the options available to you, and what other customers are doing that are kind of leading the charge into the journey towards the cloud. And then we'll wrap up with some information on our resources. So with that, let's go right into the overview of the release and the support timeline. But I'd like to just start by just reiterating a few key Oracle programs. These are programs published on Oracle.com, and they're really designed to ensure that the market sees JD Edwards and the strong future we have here, the long time frame, not only of support with our lifetime support policy, but also the ongoing commitment to enhance the product and continue to innovate that, while at the same time offering JD Edwards customers the choice and control to adopt other Oracle technologies and applications, and specifically our key to go-to-market around the Oracle Cloud. So, on the left, lifetime support is when we come out with a new release. You have 5 + 3 years of support through those phases of Premier and Extended. As you'll see in a minute, we augmented this with the 9.2 release. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm sure over the years you've seen that we've continued to innovate and come out with new releases, and we'll share a lot more of those details with you today. And then again, we'll talk more about the cloud and the coexistence model. These are great programs, and we're really proud of these, and we think that it gives a lot of confidence to our customers in the market, and we're seeing that in all the activity that we're seeing with customers moving forward and adopting new capabilities. But we're listening, and what we heard over the last year, really culminating in announcements that we made at the Collaborate 2017 conference, is that customers really, they want less disruptive upgrades. So they want the upgrades to be easier, and when they're done with that, they want to have a good return on investment. So the business really sees the value, that IT is delivering in those. Also, longer support time frames. While the 5 + 3 is very generous, and the industry, taking off the table the end of support date for a release as the main driver to do your upgrade is kind of what we heard from customers. And then just another reiteration around our commitment to enhance JD Edwards and deliver new innovation. So that's what we'll hear. And I think as you go through this presentation, you'll see that's exactly what we're delivering to the market. We're working really hard to deliver on those asks from our customer base. So the first thing was at Collaborate announcing that the 9.2 release, we moved the support date out to at least 2028. So rather than the traditional 5 + 3 years of support, we moved to a 10 + 3 model, at least. So that, as far as our watches tell us, that's over 10 years away. So it's way out in the future. Our intention is to revisit this on an annual basis, and move these dates out as appropriate. There was also a parallel investment or announcement for the World product line with the World A94 release going out to at least 2025. And again, these are at least dates. They should not be interpreted as an end of support date for the product line, certainly, and we'll continue to revisit these. So when we talk to customers that our existing customers, and the distribution of our customers, are still there's a good set of them on the 9.2 release. I think around 30%, 30 to 40%. The second majority is on the 9.1 release, and followed by 9.0, which is entering its sustaining support phase next calendar year, 2018. But when we talk to customers, there's really three key imperatives that we recommend. First is get to 9.2. Upgrade to 9.2 if you're not already there, because that is the platform that has that long support timeline. It's the platform that we're delivering all of our key innovations on. The second thing is once you're there on 9.2, develop a plan and a methodology, a strategy to stay current. We call that continuous delivery on our side and continuous adoption on the customer side. So have a plan for staying current and not waiting 5 years so that you can have another big bang, higher risk, higher cost upgrade. So have a model where you stay current on a regular basis. We call that continuous adoption. And then finally is set a journey to the cloud. We're definitely seeing the preponderance of our install base is interested in cloud. What can cloud do to me for various reasons? To maybe exit the data center business, to get more value, to move to a digital business, to a digital transformation activities, and the cloud can help on all of these different areas. So those are the three imperatives that we like to talk to our customers. And when we talk about this continuous innovation piece specifically, there's really two components of that. The first is what we do in the product development team, which is continuous delivery. We've moved to an agile Scrum process over the years, and as you've seen, we're delivering software to the market in smaller updates on a very frequent basis. So we deliver it to the market so customers can take advantage of that, as quickly as it makes sense for their business, rather than waiting for us to deliver that in a major release, for example, on like a 3-year type cadence. So we're delivering these multiple times per year from a continuous delivery perspective. The other side of the coin is around continuous adoption, and what we're recommending customers move to is a model where you're continuously taking advantage of the new releases. So adopt those, act customer, set a cadence that makes sense for your business, and again, with the goal of getting the most value out of the software and reducing these costly, more disruptive upgrades down the road. So that's kind of high level there. We've done a number of things to enable this at our customers. So we have a number of enablers for this whole continuous adoption model. One is the tools that we deliver, the first part of that, tools to stay current. Some of these you may be familiar with, like the simplified upgrade that really helps accelerate the upgrade to the 9.2 process. A new tool we have called the Object Usage Tracker, which is extremely powerful, very cool. Helps you understand, who, what, and when people are accessing the applications. So you can really have good visibility into what's being used in the system. So you can help manage that and focus on maybe your testing or your focus on that area. And a number of other tools. We won't go into detail here, but a broad set of tools for that. The second side of this, though, is to move away from a model where you're highly customized. And over the years, we've seen customers go from, let's say, 1,000 or more customizations down to something more manageable, 100 or even less, with the goal of getting to more of a pure vanilla. And a key enabler of this is our personalization framework. So to be able to do things that previously would have been a customization, a developer type activity in the E1 tool set, or maybe C programming or whatever that may be, but move to a model where you're using our personalization capabilities, and you do that through the browser. You configure the software through the browser. A couple examples of this. One was the personalized forms. Allows you to rearranged the header of a form. And some customers have told us that over half of their customizations were around just moving fields around on that header, hiding things, maybe changing the order of the fields. Similarly for the watch lists area, alert me when some event occurs. That ability, one of our SIGs, one of the Quest SIGs, had around 40% of their enhancement requests were all addressed through this ability to do watch lists. So we really think that that's a strong way of reducing your customizations, leverage our tools to help you stay current on a regular basis. Our roadmap should look fairly familiar here. You can see that the focus is on this release 9.2 code line. It's where we've been delivering these continuous delivery updates since it was released in October of 2015. There's been about 8 of those since that point. We just recently delivered the 9.2 tools update 2, so 9.2 update 2 for tools, and we're very close here as of November 7th, 2017 with our 9.2 update 2 for our applications. And that's really designed, that's really represented by that blue ball on this slide. And it's really a culmination of all the application changes in those incremental continuous delivery releases to make it easier to apply it as one batch. So you can see as we go forward, you'll see kind of that cadence repeat with annual updates releases, again, to make it easier to stay current, gravitating towards that, and then taking those from that point to wherever the point in time is you do your continuous delivery event, take those incremental ESUs and tools maintenance fixes and whatnot along those lines. So this goes out again at least till 2028. You'll see that release X down below, and that's just there to reserve the right on our side to do a new release, a new major release. Again, we're hearing from customers they don't want those major releases because it's a costly, more disruptive upgrade. But in the future, there may be an event, a major technology shift, a major, something that would be a more major upgrade, and we would do that. We would demark that with a new major release code line. But again, for the foreseeable future, our plan is to continue to innovate, deliver updates, and feature packs on the 9.2 code line. These next few slides just kind of talk about, what we've delivered, just kind of as, as evidence that, of what we've been delivering. And you'll see as you go through these, we won't go into detail. I encourage you to go to learnjde.com and specifically look at our product catalog tool to get more details on these. But there's a mixture of, larger modules, technology innovations, digital business enablers, and incremental customer-driven enhancements that in combination is, a lot of value that we've delivered to the market. So let's now transition into a little bit of investment strategy. And how do we decide, where we're going to focus our developers, where we're going to, have them enhance the product and deliver value to the market. To start with, there's a backdrop in the market, and I think everyone's probably heard about this, that we're going through a time of unprecedented disruption, largely driven by technology. Software is, I think to quote one venture capitalist, is eating the world. It's emerging in all aspects of business. It's not just in IT anymore, and you can see, you read through some of these customer names and whatnot, you'll see how they, what we're talking about here, that it disrupts the business model, it disrupts, how you use technology and how you compete in the market. And, it's really affecting all areas of businesses, and, if it doesn't affect, if you don't think it affects your business, I think there will be a point in time, whether it's this year or in the near future, you're going to start to see, emerging competition, and technology can be really a competitive advantage for you. So that's the backdrop of what we're doing, is this move to digital business, which is really the use of pervasive digital technologies. Doesn't matter where you're sitting, or you could be sitting at your desk, you could be, out at a job site, you could be, at a customer site, wherever that may be, doesn't matter. It really requires fundamental process and business model changes. It can result in, breakthrough performance for your organization, as well as strategic new opportunities to grow your business. So there's a few steps involved in this journey to becoming a more digital business. The first step is digitize your operations, and that's what we've been doing together for decades. Really is automating processes, getting your key your business data and records in JD Edwards and digitize that. So, but really take this to the next step, and really no manual steps, eliminating paper. The next thing is to move to more of a digital enterprise and move to an exception-based processing model, and really leveraging that data that you've digitized to make a fundamental difference in your business decisions. How do you move forward? Where do you invest? For your planning and in various areas. So really leverage that digital enterprise. And the third phase of this would be really how you deliver your products and services, and how you deliver, not only how do you move to a digital business, how you run your business, but how you deliver your product and how you support your customers. So that's the backdrop of what we're doing, and that breaks down into these 4 key areas of product investment. Certainly ERP, modernizing ERP, listening to customers and enhancing the applications, and modernizing them for this digital business era. Part of that also comes out in the user experience area, and you'll see with UX1 and these personalization capabilities. We've invested a lot in UX1. I'm very proud of the end user experience that we deliver in the 9.2 release. Digital transformation, it's really taking advantage of some of these digital technologies like mobility, Internet of Things, online collaboration, business process management, those type of things to really drive and enable you to become a digital business. And then finally, as we've done for a long time, is focusing on how easy it is to operate the software. So operational simplification, lowering costs, reducing customization, simplifying upgrades, and also being able to enable the cloud and leverage the cloud for rapid agility at different layers of the cloud. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So that's the backdrop of it, and I'm going to turn it over to Bob to get into all the good details here.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Gary. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. So I'd like to use this next part of the presentation to move down from, as Gary outlined, the business drivers in the world, as well as, digital transformation in the areas of investment, and give you some concrete and specific examples of how we're investing in those areas. So first, for people in 9.1, or those people that, have seen 9.1, we started building out, making some big strides in user experience with 9.1, right? Things like where you could personalize the grid, move columns around, drag, drop. We had Save Query. Cafe One, where you could put composite applications. We allowed users to build their own pages. So a lot of foundation was set with 9.1. Then with release 9.2, we came in and built on top of that with what I'll call role-based landing pages. So when I use the word role, I'm talking about maybe an AP manager, an AR manager, a maintenance manager, a procurement manager. Those are examples of roles. So imagine for 50 of those different roles across the breadth of ERP that we have these landing pages, and they're focused on a paradigm of alert, analyze, and act. So over on the left, you see the kind of the rectangles with the red and the blue. These are basically queries over applications that a business analyst can set up and basically track the number of transactions or invoices that are relevant, again, to my role. So for example, if I'm an AR manager, one of the things that's going to be very key to me is how many late invoices do I have that haven't been paid or haven't been received. So if I have a number greater than 1, I'm going to set that up, to set that threshold and make it red. I just want to track that number and see it very, very clearly. The analyze piece of the dashboard or landing page is really basically the middle. And this is interactive, it's dynamic. You can drill into this, expand it. So it's not a static looking picture. This is running over real-time data in JD Edwards. So it's not a BI, it's not an extract, transform, load. It's running over your real-time production data, really making it much more visible. Instead of looking at grids with a lot of detailed data, how do we surface that, make it graphical and intuitive and allow people to drill into it so they can make much more informed business decisions for their particular role. And then on the far right side, you see kind of little circles. That's really the ACT paradigm. That allows you to drill into transactions or applications that are relevant for that particular role. Other things we've done in the area of UX is really, Gary touched on it, is the personalization. A lot of work has gone into personalizing applications. Everything from the header level, where now I can, if I have multiple tabs, maybe I don't need some of the data on those tabs, I can consolidate maybe data across 2 or 3 tabs to one application form. If there's fields on the header that really we don't use in my business, I can hide those. If we deliver, naming conventions on some of those things that may say item, you want it to say something else, you can easily change that name on a particular form as well. So really it's about allowing the applications both at the header level as well as the grid level to meet how you need to do your job. And we also introduced a new grid format that looks very much what you might see a grid format look like on a mobile application, such as a tablet and so forth. So again, that's optional if you prefer that format. We call it a list view grid format instead of the standard grid. And then we've also enabled a cross-application search, so EnterpriseOne search. So while we've always had great searching capability within a given application, depending on my role, I may need to search across multiple applications. So let's say if I'm a role maybe in AP, I may need to go out and look at inventory. I may need to look at purchase orders, what purchase orders have been received, maybe AP invoices. Now with cross-application search by role, you can set up what are the tables, what are the applications. So when you go in and start typing in information, it'll then search across all those tables and those applications and surface all that information in a consolidated application. Makes it very nice from a navigation perspective, makes it very easy to give you more of a 360-degree view of the information you need for a particular role instead of going application by application. Other areas of UX1 continue to enhance mobile. So today we have close to almost 90 mobile applications purpose-built for both tablets and smartphones, again, and get across the Apple iOS and Android operating systems. Some examples of recent enhancements that we did, the watch list that I just showed you on the landing pages, the alerts. Now we can look at those alerts, not just on a web-based landing page, but I can look at those on a mobile application, so see real-time alerts if I happen to be traveling without signing in to JD Edwards. We've enabled barcode scanning in particular applications. So if I was maybe working on a piece of equipment or doing a receipt, whatever it might happen to be on an item number or working on an asset, I could scan that instead of having to type that in on the mobile device. Location services. So if I wanted to see where my customers, I could easily pull up a map based on where I am, see where my nearby customers are. If I was a sales rep visiting them, or if I was a technician and I had to visit a customer to do maintenance service orders, I could get directions and see that. So leveraging every, the capability that people know with GPS that have been using on tablets and phones for years now, using that capability within the JD Edwards application. And also, seamlessly integrating with mobile cloud service. So mobile cloud service is a platform as a service, cloud offering from Oracle, allows business analysts to go in and easily build mobile applications that we can then easily connect on the back end to the JD Edwards logic and data. Alternate language description. So it's requested a big request from the user groups, from a number of the SIGs, go in, add alternate language to both address book and payment terms for people who use this, who have operations in different countries. We have things such as items and business units that have had this for years, so continue to build out on language capability. Basket pricing, or as I like to refer to it, order level pricing. So we've had this for years on sales order processing as part of advanced pricing. We've now brought that over on the purchasing side. So essentially, you can still get discounts at an individual line level on the purchase order, but in addition to the line level, you can now look at order level. So if I have maybe a total quantity or a total weight or a total volume or maybe a total order amount, when an order that qualifies for a discount or additional discounts above the line item, we can now apply basket pricing and order pricing above and beyond line level pricing and purchasing. Manufacturing, production, execution. So how have we modernized this process? So Gary talked about some of the areas we're investing, right? And one of them really is around ERP modernization. So this is a really good example of that. We've leveraged some capability that I'll speak about in a moment that I refer to Orchestrator. So we've been doing, manufacturing work orders in J.D. Edwards for decades. So now you notice in the lower right-hand corner, we've added a very visual kind of Gantt chart. About a year or two ago, we released something called a Work Center Load Review Calendar. And that would in work center by work center and let the planner look at a given work center and see if I was over capacity in that work center for a given day. And then gave me the ability of doing a right click and going out and changing some dates. Well, now we've enhanced it. Not only do I look at a given work center, I can look at a work order and see all the work centers for that particular work order and see if I'm over capacity for any given day. And if I am, now we've added great capability where you can just drag and drop. So I don't have to exit to another application and manually change dates, come back, refresh it. I just drag, drop, and then we will update the dates on the work orders, requested date, completion date, and so forth. The other nice capability is now we've used our Orchestrator and we've started to link together processes. So let's say if I'm doing a manufacturing work order and I have a pick instruction for a given item to pick 10 of those. And I only confirm that I've picked 8. So we know we're too short. Now we've hooked together a process, we can go out and automatically initiate a cycle count for that item on which I'm short. So I don't have to go out and manually do it. We can use the orchestration and string together business processes. So very, very powerful capability. And then we use the orchestrator with notifications, and we can push notifications out to managers to let them know either dates have changed or I've had shortages of material. So it's a way of taking something that we've been doing for decades with production execution and now modernizing that with new digital tools and technologies. So let's talk about Orchestrator a little bit. I want to build this out. So if you think about on the left-hand side, right, we've got J.D. Edwards, and in the goals you've got J.D. Edwards Business Logic and all your ERP apps, and of course that's surfaced over your business data. But how do we expose J.D. Edwards outside of our traditional applications? And this is where we started using the power of Orchestrator that we first released, with the tools 9.1.5, and now we've continued to expand it with tools 9.2. So we've used the Orchestrator to allow us to basically do REST-based integrations. So very quickly we can build mobile applications. Now we can link those directly to the application interface, the AIS server, and then have an orchestrator connect that to our business logic and business data. For a couple of years now we've been doing this with Internet of Things. Now we can use it with Oracle Cloud SaaS and PaaS applications that are REST enabled to bring those in, interface to our AIS server, and connect that to our J.D. Edwards business logic and business data. And the REST-based integration doesn't replace what we've had with business services and business functions. Those tools are still there. It's just another extensibility tool really to augment what we've done, augment our extensibility in J.D. Edwards. The great news about Orchestrators, when we released this about 2 years ago with 9.1.5 tools, it was initially a separate product. We were solving a very specific use case, and you may have heard of it as Internet of Things Orchestrator. And it was a separate SKU. Well, now we've rolled that back. It's not a separate SKU. It's part of our core tools and foundation. So every customer has the ability to use this without an additional SKU license fee. So we can also now use it with third-party applications, your apps. So really from a digital model, think of your digital gold as your business logic, your data, and now really the Orchestrator and our AIS servers allowing you to connect your J.D. Edwards very easily to the digital economy. We're also building one Orchestrator with notifications. So with Tools 9.2 Update 2, just was released in October, we now have the ability of pushing information. So J.D. Edwards has a lot of information in it, great system. We showed you the landing pages, other ways of surfacing, but you had to sign on to J.D. Edwards to see that information. Now we can push notifications that you can set up in the system. So we can push it out via email, via SMS text message, or on the applications themselves. We have an icon that's a bell. You may be familiar with bell notifications on things like LinkedIn and Twitter. So we use that same paradigm, put a number inside the bell, and you can see notifications that way. So many, many ways of notifying people when certain actions have happened within the JD Edwards, and that can all be defined by your business analyst. So very powerful capability of pushing information. Gary mentioned another key area of investment for us is really around operational simplification. In the past, people may refer to this as total cost of ownership across not just technology and IT, but across from an end user perspective as well. But we've released the object tracking and impact analysis tool, very powerful tool that allows people in the IT department to see which, let's say, which objects are being used in JD Edwards. So in which environment are they dev, test, production? Who's using those objects? And when I say objects, what I mean specifically is there's 3 objects that we can track. One is JD Edwards application, so which users are using it, how frequently. The other is batch jobs, UBEs, universal batch engines, right? We can track who's using them, where they're being used, when they're being run. And the third one is around the area of business functions. So I can have insight into which business functions are being executed. And we have capabilities where you can just basically say, you know, I know certain business functions are always used, and I can turn those off and not look at those. Great tool for if you have custom applications. You want to say, are those custom applications? Maybe we built these 5, 6, 10 years ago. Are they still being used? And when I'm on 9.2, do I need to carry those forward? Another great example of use of the object tracking impact analysis, when you apply ESUs, what specific objects are those ESUs impacted, and allow me to focus my testing results and efforts in that particular area. Another area that we've enhanced for simplifying the maintenance of JD Edwards is on Server Manager. For many people in the IT, you know, the Server Manager is kind of the core for JD Edwards for managing all your servers, right? Enterprise server, HTML server, database, and so forth, enterprise server. So we put some health checks over that. So now I can go in and see the status of different servers running within JD Edwards. And we've also REST enabled those APIs. So if I want to take those health status checks and I want to surface those through APIs, build them out on mobile applications, maybe surface them on a page somewhere. All that is possible now with the API enablement over Server Manager. And we've also, you know, allow you to filter in and look at individual servers and the status of those. So great new UI sitting over Server Manager to allow the IT people to have a very quick glimpse at the status of your enterprise. So great capability. Looking at, now this is where we go back to the safe harbor statement, so we're going to transition into looking forward at this point. So when you hear Gary and I use the word plan is basically, when we use that term, we're referring to enhancements that are underway that we have a high degree of confidence that will be delivered sometime in the next 12 months. And of course, things can always change, but probably, you know, 90-10% rule, 90% of things we talk about is planned will happen in that 12 months. When we use the term research, that's really beyond 12 months. We have people working in it, drilling down, but based on capacity and timing and so forth, you know, if we deliver something that we refer to research, most likely beyond a 12-month time window. As you can see what Gary talked about, you know, the roadmap for 9.2 going out through at least 2028. I'm just showing you a small glimpse of things we're researching. If we were to put up everything that we were thinking about over the next 10 years, we could have, you know, easily, you know, close to probably 10 research slides right now. So a lot of things on that, on the product backlog. Some of the areas that we're planning is joint venture management. So some of the capabilities we've already delivered in joint venture. You can see that it's available. More capability being planned in upcoming quarterly releases with the hope of having joint venture, or the plan of having joint venture completed probably by about this time next year. So a lot of work going into allowing companies to manage joint ventures, you know, to reduce risk and cost, or to help as they expand into maybe other geographies around the globe. Another plan I talked about in manufacturing, an example of modernizing that process using digital tools like Orchestrator notification. We have a similar capability in the area of asset acquisition. So as you can see with the chevrons in the lower part of the screen, when you acquire an asset, there's a lot of steps, right? You start with a purchase order, you've got to receive it, then you get the asset in, you set it up in the fixed asset system, you set it up in the equipment system, you get the maintenance schedule set up, you have the maintenance schedule over the parts list and so forth. So a lot of different steps, a lot of different applications. And we think we can really simplify the UI, simplify this process, make it easier to set it up, using a lot of the orchestration process capability as well as notification capability. So look for that. In the area of regulatory, that never seems to end no matter where you are in the world. There's global changes, so this is not just the United States, but it affects the entire world, to how people have to account for leases. So many companies, when they had leases, whether that was for property, like I'm leasing office space or I'm leasing space for a manufacturing plant or a distribution facility, whatever kind of space it was, that's what we call property. And many people have leases for non-property. You know, that could be for hardware and IT resources. It might have been for copy machines, might have been for office furniture. Who knows what people are leasing, right? All those leases, typically for many companies, they were expensed. They just went on the P&L. Now, as of January 2019, so literally about a year from now, all leases now have to go onto the balance sheet. So we are putting in new capability in JD Edwards to allow leases to be tracked on the balance sheet, to be amortized based on the appropriate schedule. So look for that. Make sure you're working with your accounting departments. For public companies, it's a big change. We're continuing to work on UX, right? So UX1, not done yet. We have the mentioned the analytics, the drill down capability, you know, that you can drill down on a given page, or I can even focus on a particular maybe, you know, a segment on a particular analytic, and then just drill down and filter on that particular example. In the future, we're going to put in the ability to exit to other applications. So if I'm looking at analytics and I want to exit to another application that might be related, but not specifically to that data that I'm drilling into, maybe I want to go out and look at an item master instead of item availability, we're going to have that capability as well. Continuing to build out a mobile, planning for a time entry. So we have great capability now for employees to enter time. Now we'll have the ability for managers to approve that time using mobile. I mentioned, you know, the power of the Orchestrator, how we're using that for doing basically, you know, processes and opening up orchestrations to be part of our extensibility, linking it with our AAS capability to really enable our extensibility. Well, now we're going to take notifications of pushing information out and taking notifications and taking that to the next level with workflow. So not only pushing you information, but now being able to get a response back. So I may push out an email that says a purchase order needs to be approved, allow somebody to click on the link, open that up, have delegation capability if, you know, somebody doesn't respond quickly, you know. So look for notifications start to evolve into simple workflow processing in the future. And of course, we always have our JD Edwards Labs. This has been ongoing for years, part of Gary's team, always looking at, you know, what are some new and emerging technologies, and how could those new and emerging technologies possibly fit into, you know, the JD Edwards product for, again, leveraging new digital capabilities, modernizing the product, and so forth. Examples with artificial intelligence. So we've been working with a little bit with IBM for a couple of years with their Watson product. Oracle has artificial intelligence capabilities coming to market, working with those. Virtual assistants, people are familiar, you know, on the consumer side with things like Alexa, but how can I use those virtual assistants or, you know, or augmented reality type of things with JD Edwards? And lastly, you know, another example is how do we deliver the JD Edwards product? Today we have things like one-click provisioning, but can we package these up in more modern containers, things like Docker, for example? So all things are a little bit out there forward-looking, but we always have a team looking at those capabilities. So with that, I'll transfer to Gary and kind of give you an update on the cloud.
Thanks, Bob. That was incredible. I mean, I think we apologize if it felt like you're drinking through a fire hose here, but we had a lot of things to cover and wanted to make sure you got the overview of that, and again, encourage you to, you know, dig deeper into, you know, our online resources later in the day, the other sessions. So I'm going to now transition to the cloud, and this is, if you remember those 3 imperatives, get to 9.2, stay current. It's really, Bob gave you a lot of good food for thought there of the value you can get and why you would do that. Now we'll talk about this third imperative around the journey to the cloud. And I think, as everyone knows, Oracle is all in the cloud and offers a, you know, very, very comprehensive, complete cloud from every layer of the stack, a full suite of technologies at the infrastructure level, very broad series of platform components, and then a broad set of application components. And really all of these layers are complementary to J.D. Edwards. So they really can help you evolve to a digital business, get more value, lower your costs, deliver more agility to the business. And that's really what our strategy is to enable these different layers, these different options, because every customer's journey is going to be different depending on the business and where they currently are, but offering you choice and control to make those steps where it makes sense. The other dimension here is that, like anything, this is a bell-shaped distribution of how customers are going to move to the cloud. Some are very early adopters, more aggressive, setting up a strong strategy. Others are maybe more late adopters, or even kind of what's known as laggards that would maybe kind of watch and see what happens first. So we're supporting all those different models. Again, the 3 layers of the cloud technology all can apply to J.D. Edwards and help you move to this digital business. The infrastructure layer can really help you optimize running of J.D. Edwards in the cloud. The platform layer can help you extend the J.D. Edwards functionality to mobile users, to devices, to non-traditional ERP users. And then the SaaS can be very complementary in areas that such as the sales cloud or marketing automation, or on the HCM side. There's very complementary applications, including within the ERP suite, like procurement and transportation management. So if I just take a minute on each of these different layers, the infrastructure layer, why would you consider that? One would be to reduce the risk of technology obsolescence. We do hear customers wanting to set a strategy to exit the data center. Data centers are expensive to keep current, to manage, all that, could be a strategy to help that and reduce technology obsolescence. Another thing in here is that you move to a model where you're leveraging really high performance storage, backup, and disaster recovery. And these are things that traditionally could be very expensive to do in your own data center, now become more cost effective. And storage, by the way, is probably the #1 determinant of your J.D. Edwards performance, is how fast that storage is. Disaster recovery, could have been very expensive, but with the cloud, there's models where that can become very much more cost effective. So one of the strategies customers deploy is what we refer to as lift and shift, or maybe another way of saying this is move and improve. So you're kind of moving from your data center into the Oracle data center and getting a more modern, highly performant infrastructure layer there as a result of that, leveraging these compute, storage, networking resources and whatnot. We've enabled this with what we refer to as one-click provisioning. So it's the easiest way to install J.D. Edwards. You go out there to the Oracle Cloud, and you can deploy either a trial edition, which is a very small footprint, all-in-one, if you will, version of J.D. Edwards, just for just kind of experimentation, sandbox, maybe showing your users what they would get out of the box. Or on the right is the one-click provisioning, which allows you to scale that out, and the different layers of the J.D. Edwards architecture, leveraging Oracle PaaS for things like the database or the WebLogic to Java layer. Or you could also bring your own licenses as part of that model. So a lot of choice and control about that, moving your J.D. Edwards workloads into the Oracle Cloud. The second layer of the stack is the Oracle Platform as a Service. You can see on the left, there's a lot of different components to this. And again, this is really driven by your strategy as a customer, what makes sense to you. If you need more, let's say, insight into how your machines are operating, your assets are operating, you could leverage the Internet of Things Cloud service, which is a Platform as a Service layer. Or if you need more collaboration in your enterprise, the Content and Experience Cloud can be very, very powerful as well to share online and whatnot. So a number of things in this area that can help you, move to the Oracle Cloud. We do want to highlight one of the areas. Again, this isn't the only area that you can leverage for the platform area, but one of the areas we've most recently added and delivered an out-of-the-box integration in our latest JD Edwards release is with the Content Experience Cloud. It gives you the ability to collaborate on documents and threaded discussions and deliver that right inside of JD Edwards. So, as you're in your JD Edwards applications, you can share documents on the cloud here with this capability, or continue to leverage those as referred to as media objects. Now we call them attachments. That would be more of a local capability. But it gives you that, opens that up, and then opens up the collaboration on those documents, which is extremely common across our business processes to need this collaboration. And by the way, as a result, you get the mobile access for this capability as well as some very powerful experience. We use this internally quite extensively. It's a very powerful tool for collaboration. The last layer is the SaaS layer. Again, complements JD Edwards. Look for areas that we refer to as the practical scenarios. And you can see out on our Learn JDE site, you'll see a series of documents and presentations around what we see are the more practical applications to add on to JD Edwards and why we view those as practical. So there's a large number of applications. We won't go into detail here on these, but would like to share with you that this is what we're seeing our customers adopt today. This has been a journey over the last few years. Customers leveraging, again, the Customer Experience Cloud for things like service management or sales. Recruiting is a very common add-on to JD Edwards for using the Taleo Recruiting Cloud service. Planning and budgeting, I think, is number one as an add-on. A lot of the former Hyperion on-premise applications now are in the cloud, making it again easier to adopt those and spin up those applications in your environment. So there's a number of opportunities across these, and just to encourage you to kind of take a look at what the Oracle Cloud can do to help enhance your overall enterprise applications.
Great. Thanks, Gary. Ken, I'd like to wrap it up a little bit, finalize, summarize what we've talked about. So as Gary said, a lot of information in this session, and how do you keep current with the continuous delivery and capability and value we're adding to software? So multiple resources just to stay current. One is certainly, as you are right now, you're members of Quest. So that's great. Please continue to do so, belong to that. And, as John mentioned at the beginning, the kickoff, please plan to, attend the Collaborate conference in April and the In Focus conference, if you can, in August. So those are great networking opportunities, as well as opportunities to get detail on many, many sessions of some of these topics that we've just highlighted. The other thing that's not mentioned here, I'm going to make a plug for, is 4 times a year, Quest has the Q&A article, magazine article that comes out. So great stories of customers, partners working with customers, innovation going on in the product. In addition to that, there's usually an article every quarter from someone in Oracle, whether it's Lyle Echtel, our Senior Vice President and General Manager. Gary's had articles, and I'll put a plug in for the December Q&A magazine that Lord Quarles and I are kind of doing a joint article recapping JD Edwards' value delivered in 2017. So take a look at those. Oops, Gary seems to be stuck. There we go. The other capability I want you to take a look at is on the website Learn JDE. So this has been out there for several years, but recently we've improved the UI search capability on that. So if you haven't looked at Learn JDE, go out and take a look at it. It's a great tool, a great way to stay current on a lot of the innovation that we're delivering in the product today. We also have announcements out there, so as we come out with these quarterly feature packs, they're posted on Learn JDE, as well as they're posted on Oracle, My Oracle Supporter, or the MOS website within Oracle. So take a look at Learn JDE. Within Learn JDE, we also have the product catalog and technical catalog. And I'm expecting that actually by the end of November, you'll see a refresh on the UI for the product catalog. So that'll become even more intuitive and usable. So we keep updating the UI on a lot of these web-based applications that allow you to go and see what is new in the product catalog. If I want to compare releases, let's say what's different in capital asset management between, let's say, 9.1 and 9.2, we have that compare capability. And similarly, we have similar capability in technical catalog, allow you to drill down between tools releases to see what's new and changed. Profit Magazine, published by Oracle. There's the JDE Special Edition of Profit Magazine. So it's a good place to stay current on some of the things going on, customer stories, as well as, articles from Lyle and others. And lastly, in the digital world, right, whether it's LinkedIn, great videos out on YouTube, not just published by development, but published by customers, published by partners. So a lot of information on J.D. Edwards capability on the J.D. Edwards YouTube channel, as well as using my Oracle support and LinkedIn capability, as well as Twitter. So many channels to stay connected with J.D. Edwards. So the message that Gary and I want you to walk away from today is understanding, yes, we are heavily investing in J.D. Edwards in themes around operational simplification, modernizing ERP, allowing you to digitally transform your company, and UX innovation, all that value being delivered with our continuous delivery model. So thank you very much for your time today. With that, I'll turn it back over to Alyssa if there's some Q&A questions that we could take.
Absolutely, and just a reminder for those of you who joined us after the session started today, you can submit questions through the questions box, and that's on your GoToWebinar module. We're going to take as many of these questions as we can. So I'll go on and jump in. First question, does JDE have support for OAuth 2.0, outbound and inbound?
Yeah, so I know I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. We're going to have to do some research and double check into that. But I know we have a roadmap item on our tools for OAuth 2.0. When I'm trying to remember, and I don't have it in front of me, is that something we released in Tools 9.2 Update 2, or is that something on the roadmap for coming in 2018? So great question. The answer is yes, we're working with that standard. I just can't remember if it's GA or if it's coming in 2018. That's what I don't know. So we'll get back and we'll put an update on.
Yeah, Alyssa, I'd say that there's a number of areas too where we could where we would enable this security standard, and so I think that the answer would be maybe a little bit more detailed of does the Orchestrator, AIS, the sign-on, mobile, etc. areas, and so we'll provide a more comprehensive response in a follow-up to this.
Perfect, thank you. Can you expand the push functionality from JDE to third party? Is this via AIS?
So yes, with the AIS or with the Orchestrator using AIS, yes, we can push data out to third party. So the Orchestrator is great in that we can use it to read third party and bring data in to JD Edwards, but we can also go out. So it's kind of bi-directional in and out of JD Edwards. So, what's great with is, we've done with mobile applications. We can use it with SaaS applications where it can be bi-directional. We can even use it for, if we want to take data into JD Edwards and push that out, not only to applications, but third-party database. So a lot of capability to push information out of JD Edwards to other applications or databases.
And we've been revolving around the REST-based web services standard. So we're doing everything to enable that, and OAuth 2 is a aspect of that as well, to make that easier, both from our consumer, so external systems can access JD Edwards that way, as well as when we want to push an update to an external system. And then certainly the other aspect is the notification from a push perspective is to be able to push things through SMS and email and in various formats.
Next question, on object tracking, does it also track by potentially multiple versions tied to the object?
Yep, I think it's very flexible, and it does, handles your customizations as well as what we deliver out of the box.
Is Object Tracker available on 9.0? How do I access it?
Well, it's available at Tools 9.2, Update 2, which would be backward compatible to 9.0. Now, there may be a feature here or there that when we backward, two releases on applications might not be enabled, but most of it with Tools 9 to Update 2, if you apply that with applications release 9.0, you should be able to use a lot of that capability. You may just, as I said, find a feature or two that's not enabled.
And I would just add to that, that'd be a great technique. I mean, I'm sure the question was around, planning my upgrade from 9.0. I'd like to get more visibility into what my current usage is, and that'd be a great strategy. So then you can look at retiring customizations, or again, where to focus your testing during the upgrade process.
Is it possible to receive mobile notifications in MAF applications, for example, Facebook and Instagram, etc.?
Oh, that's a good question. That's interesting. So we haven't actually used that as a use case, but the question I'm thinking of, is it technically possible to push something, to another application? So I think the answer is going to be a couple things. I think it is technically, as Gary said, there's, we probably have standards that those, other applications are using. And, without knowing those off the top of my head, I don't want to say, oh, absolutely. But I think technically it could be possible that we've not tried it, right? Our push, at least with 9.2 tools, was really around, SMS text, was around email, and back to the, the web page. That was our first foray. But as we said, the Orchestrator does have the ability of pushing, data externally. So I think with the right integration technology, that should be possible, though we've not tried it.
Let's see. Do you have use case examples of where a cloud service module was integrated with JDE? Do you have any white papers on how to integrate cloud service modules with JD Edwards?
Yeah, so that was what I was referring to as the on Learn JDE. These were referred to as the practical scenarios presentations, and there's a series of them out there that talk about that. There's also a item around our integration framework and integration technology, because when you add a SaaS module, most likely you're going to need to integrate that to JD Edwards, and that's not something that we deliver for every SaaS module out of the box. And so that's where I would point you to. I think you'll also see, at our conferences especially, and on the Oracle.com website, you'll see, some specific customer use cases. And you can certainly look at the in-focus materials. If it's something in high demand, we can represent a couple of those where we just go over dozens of customer examples, basically, and it kind of gets you thinking about what the options are, what's possible.
The other is we actually, one of the first ones we actually did, the SaaS, just a timing issue, right? One of the first ones to market was the Sales Cloud. So that came out, oh gosh, it's been on the market several years. We did an integration to that because it was one of the first where I could be in the Sales Cloud application and surface JD Edwards sales orders within that CRM application. And likewise, we can use Cafe One within JD Edwards to surface some contact information in the Sales Cloud for that customer as well. So bi-directional capability in both those applications, where some of the integration was pre-built out of the box as an example. But as Gary mentioned, right, many customers using our integration capabilities to integrate JD Edwards with multiple SaaS applications today.
Does Oracle have any plan of making JDE available as a SaaS offering? We are constantly being approached by Oracle to consider their Fusion Cloud and move away from our on-premise model.
So I think when people ask that question, there's two ways they're coming at that, right? The first is from a licensing perspective. When I hear people say, is JD Edwards going to be a SaaS? If it's a new prospect, somebody that's never licensed JD Edwards before, oftentimes what they're referring to is the payment method, right? How do I pay for JD Edwards? Do I pay for it up front with then maintenance fees, in the year after? Or is it paid for SaaS where I don't actually own the product, I'm just subscribing to it on a month-by-month basis? From a licensing perspective, JD Edwards is going to remain as a licensing model where you license the product up front and then continue to pay for maintenance each year. JD Edwards is not going to be sold as a subscription service as we do with our SaaS offerings. Now, the other angle that people often say is JD Edwards going to be, a cloud product. They're talking about where is JD Edwards going to run? Could I run JD Edwards in the Oracle Cloud? Well, the answer to that is yes. So as Gary talked about, one of the layers for the Oracle Cloud is the infrastructure as a service. So think of that as, outsourcing your data center, right? The hardware, the compute, the storage, the networking, those type of things. So you could take your license that you own for JD Edwards today and install JD Edwards using one-click provisioning into the Oracle Cloud. So you can run JD Edwards in the Oracle Cloud. So it's different things usually when people say cloud. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit.
And I would just add a third thing, which is around another value prop of the SaaS is that you're always current, right? So the SaaS applications, everybody gets upgraded or updated, twice a year, whatever that may be. And so there's value in that you're always taking advantage of the latest innovation. That's what we're accomplishing with the continuous adoption, project that we're working on, model and the tooling around that, as well as our partners increasingly offering services to help you stay current on a more regular basis.
Are there plans or considerations of tools to help JD Edwards customers running on IBM I DB2/400 move to the cloud?
Yeah, there's a number of them. I mean, platform migration is not anything that's new to the JD Edwards ecosystem product line. I've seen customers that have gone from SQL Server to IBM to Oracle, and I don't know why you would make that many migrations,
right?
But certainly possible. We have tooling enabled. There's if you get into more complex database environments, like it's not just the JD Edwards database, it's other related things as well. There's some good partner offerings that help you with that migration, as well.
So yeah, and I think the key that you hit on, right? It's not anything specific or unique about cloud. I mean, cloud is just an operating system, a database. And we've been doing this for decades. So yeah.
Are we able to get support on how to and learn JDE with setting up watch lists, landing pages, etc., to work with our custom roles and drilling down to our custom apps?
Okay, so there's multiple layers of help, right? So first there's what I would say is documentation that we've built. There's YouTube videos and so forth. I can also tell you there's projects ongoing today to even add more documentation to, how to get started, to make this almost a cookbook step-by-step type of a process. That little bit more detailed videos, Oracle by example, those are coming in December, January timeframe in the near term. The other thing that I would suggest is, depending on how much you want to do, especially with customizations, is definitely engage, a partner. I want to stay away from the word customization, really stress configuration and personalization. So a lot of what you can do with UX1 is really configuration and has nothing to do with customization. So I really want to, say, work with a partner that knows this very well, that can also help guide you with your configuration steps in your environment.
And then one other addition there would be, leverage the Oracle support, leverage your relationship with Oracle support, and that helps us get more visibility into what, where the struggles may be, in terms of, adopting UX1, which, as you see in this presentation, is extremely important, to our product line, and we think valuable.
Does JDE have support for JDK9?
Well, we have a list. We have certifications that we publish out on My Oracle Support, for which JD Edwards is certified to. And you can imagine with all the databases and browsers and operating systems, I don't remember off the top of my head, whether it's JDK. Is it?
We'd have to look at the
certification tab,
yeah.
But you could go out to My Oracle Support and look at because that's what I would do, is go out to My Oracle Support, look at JD Edwards certifications and take a look at the latest there. I just don't remember the latest number off the top of my head.
Okay, we have a few more questions, and for those of you, if I don't get to your question, I am collecting all of these, so if we run out of time, we have about 1 to 2 more minutes. Let's see. Does JDE have or plan to have any support for webhooks?
I'm personally not familiar with that technology, so maybe we'll treat that one as a follow-up, Alyssa.
Perfect. Could one upgrade from 9.2.2 to 9.2D without installing 9.2B and 9.2C?
The answer to that is yes, because those updates are cumulative. So just by the cumulative nature, it will pull everything in that came before that.
What are integration options for interfacing with third-party applications for those JDE modules, say like WMS or transportation? We see limited EDI formats, say like 867, 846, etc., not supported by JDE.
Right. So in that use case, if there's specific, let's say, transportation EDI, right? Maybe it's for vessels or ships or air cargo, whatever it is that we don't support in JD Edwards, or they need more best-in-class transportation. You want to use Oracle Transportation Cloud Service. What I would take a look at, is one of the things we talked about in this presentation, is being able to use our application interface services along with our Orchestrator. Is a great way, because we're using that technology with other SaaS. So that would be my recommendation. Now, of course, if there's batch uploads, other types of things, right? Standard traditional integration capability that we've been doing for years, right? Z tables, batch uploads, those type of things continue. But for real-time transactions going back and forth, I think using application interface service with the Orchestrator would be a great integration tool.
Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up for today. Again, I've captured all of your questions, a lot of good questions today. Thanks for everyone for joining. I'm going to very quickly just give a reminder for the rest of today. Of course, we're getting ready to gear up for the next round of education. And so you can find, one second while I switch over my screen. All right, so if you just go to the Quest website to Quest Experience Week, if you're not yet registered for other sessions, we just saw the keynote, and then you'll see the agenda for the rest of the day with sessions starting at 12:30, 2 o'clock, 3:30, and 5 o'clock. Again, all of these sessions will be recorded, and we'll be putting the links to those recordings out to the public once they're available, with a goal of about November 17th, within the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions around anything that John Vaughn covered, including Collaborate, InFocus, or our membership structure, you all have my email from being registered for this event today, so please feel free to reach out. I want to give a big thanks to Gary and Bob for their keynote today, and also the support from the whole JD Edwards team on content that's being provided throughout the day. So with that, I will pass it over. Gary, Bob, any closing notes? And I'm done on my side.
No, just thank everybody for taking the time to join us, and thank you again for being JD Edwards customers.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Everyone have a great day. See you on a session soon.